Jake Steaks. Welcome to the Meat Mafia podcast. This is a long time coming.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
We've come a long way since when we met in Jason Rick's ranch last July, I think.
Yeah, July of 22.
Yeah.
It was baseball season. It still is.
The grass was green.
Yeah.
We're in
it was dry.
In Colorado,
It was dry.
out at the Beef Initiative event.
Uh-huh.
We were doing a little speaking. You were out there. That was your first time meeting us and Jason and that whole crew?
Yeah.
I just remember him being like, did you
only.
meet the guy who's just shipping beef across the country? I'm like, I don't think I and then the next day I met you. But
Well, no, I fucked up because when I met Jake, he gave me his card. I was like, oh, Jake Steaks, awesome grass-finished beef. I was like, I'm in San Diego, so you just ship it out to me and then I pick it up? And you're like, no, dude, I drive.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, so you're telling me you're going to drive from St. Louis to San Diego? Like, I love that commitment. I'm in. And then you show up in the van. We're doing raw liver shots in this coffee parking lot. And I think I first ordered from you in San Diego, and then when we both got to Austin, you hooked Harry up with the chest freezer, and then have been delivering to us ever since. And now we're good friends. So
Yeah.
it's been cool to see the progression.
Yeah, the meeting in July of 22, you guys kind of put me on the map because I showed up there and I said, hey, I have 16 animals that I need to get sold. And you guys started just blasting out to friends and family all over the place. But I contacted that rancher when I got back to Missouri, and she said, no, it's not 16 animals right now. It's 16 animals over the next 12 months. And I was like, oh, no. And all these people were messaging that you guys had reached out to and said they wanted animal shares.
Yeah.
So then I had to go find other grass finishers and producers. So it was like a good forcing function, if you will.
Wow.
All of a sudden, all these people want to meet. I had to go find it. And then that trip to San Diego, I think we accidentally ate high meat on that trip.
It was a little bit fermented for sure.
are you serious?
And it was, the
Fermented
pieces
beef
were
liver.
this big, dude.
Oh my
I thought he was
God.
going to
It
give me a
was-
little piece, and I had to like choke the whole thing down, but we were buzzing after that.
What?
Yeah,
And
it
he
was
had raw goat's milk too.
it was baseball size.
Yeah.
Since it was baseball season. But but I always keep a separate cooler for food for me to eat on the road because I don't stop and eat out and stuff. I'll eat some ground beef or some beef sticks. But on this trip, I happen to have some raw beef liver. But that personal cooler, it gets like the least amount of attention.
Yeah.
And so I think that beef liver, yeah, we were probably Josh Rainier style.
We would have made
Oh, yeah.
we would have made him and Augenus proud for
Oh, yeah.
sure. But I think with
too.
you too, a lot of people when they hear Jake Steaks, they mistakenly think that you're a rancher, but you're really. Would you call yourself a touch point or a beef delivery service? Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah, sourcing and distribution.
Yeah.
So definitely not a rancher. I wear shorts and Crocs almost everywhere I go, so I'm not doing any rancher myself. From time to time, I'm out there on the ranch or on the farm with those guys, but they don't get a lot of work out of me. I mostly just tag along, hop in the Polaris and go see the grasslands with them and stuff, see what they're doing, see the cattle. I don't know. I ask a lot of questions. It's like anywhere you go, if you don't know what's going on, just get involved and remain curious. But definitely not a rancher. Sourcing and distribution is what we focus on. So we try to go find really good animals, ruminants, beef and bison, sometimes lamb, sometimes goats. And we want animals that are raised and finished on grass. And then we try to get into the weeds with the grass finisher, find out about vaccine program. There's certainly never any vaccines or growth hormones, steroids or antibiotics, not on any type of schedule or regimen.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain years that if there's herds or an abundance of livestock in an area where they need to implement a program, then they take that into consideration. But it's all done, with the intent of giving those animals ample time to cycle through anything they might be using. But never any mRNA vaccines, and never any antibiotics unless they need to save an animal's life.
Yeah.
So humane thing to do.
Well,
What got you going with all this? Like, how did you get started with just even the concept of Jake Steaks?
Yeah, well, Trump lost the election. I was like, dude, I gotta. No, I'm kidding. It had nothing to do with politics. I got sick in December of 21. It was right after Thanksgiving 21. I got sick. I was sick for like 5 weeks. I couldn't kick it. It's not like me to get sick like that. I tried to get care at like walk-in clinics or emergency rooms. I couldn't produce a COVID positive test, so I couldn't get treatment. It was during like Omicron. What was it called?
Yeah, the Omicron.
Yeah,
Omicron.
one of the variants.
Everyone was following on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It was. I think that was the phase that they called the circle jerk.
Yeah.
The tsunami.
Yeah, so it just kind of kept going round and round. But so I couldn't get care, so I was kind of I was getting a little defeated, and it was right around New Year. And I'd been sick 5 weeks. I was down on a job site in Houston, Texas, doing a warehouse down there for a general contractor. And I came back to the hotel. It was New Year's Eve, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to figure this out. And so I went out to my work truck, and it was a personal work truck, not like a company work truck, but I smoked a joint, man. I got high. Some really good weed from Northwest Nevada. And
Is that where the good weed is?
you're really close to like Humboldt County out there. So, and that's the last time I've smoked weed, actually. It's the last time I got high. But I got high, and I went back inside, and I put on this show called 1883. It's like the prequel to the Duttons Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And so I'm just watching the show, like the first 3 episodes had released, and they're figuring out how to get these immigrants basically from what is now Fort Worth, and they want to go all the way out west. They want to get to Oregon. The immigrants do. The Duttons want to get to, just somewhere with mountains and rain. And so they set out west, and I'm thinking, like, how do these people feed themselves? There's no Cliff Bars or trail mix or any of this other stuff that we take when we hike. And I'm watching them, and as the show's developing, they're wrangling up a herd of longhorns to take with them as they head west. And so as they're traveling west, every couple days in the show, they slaughter an animal, and then they have a cook with the camp as well. And so he cooks up an animal. And so I watch all this stuff, and I'm just like, if you get high, you kind of go into the rabbit hole.
Yep.
That's about the only time I go into it, But I start learning about it. I start reading Paul Saladino's stuff. Mm-hmm. It's right at the new year, and he's doing his animal-based 30 challenge. So I'm reading all his stuff and watching it. And so I go looking for grass-finished beef in Missouri, southwest Missouri. And I find it. I found it through a raw dairy farmer, actually, that has his own little co-op set up. And I'm telling him, I'm trying to get healthy and stuff. And I find grass-finished beef. And I didn't realize how much a whole animal was. I had no concept of it, and I didn't ask a ton of questions about like the logistics of it. So I speak for 2 whole animals and put down a deposit. And I go to pick up all this meat, and it's like 900 pounds of meat. And I'm like, oh no. So I start calling around, texting friends and family. This is May of 22, a couple months before we met. And before I know it, there's like a couple dozen friends and family members that want to buy grass-finished beef. So just like that, the first 2 animals are spoken for, and then I need to find more animals to keep delivering to people. So I had no concept of how I was going to get it to them. What did I have? I don't even think I had a vehicle at the point. I think I was just like borrowing friends or family members' vehicles. I had sold my work truck because I left that job site while I was sick. And I got to go out and get a vehicle. So I'm looking on like Carvana and stuff, looking for, I'm thinking I can do this all in a sedan. But once I've gathered that it's 900 pounds of meat and I'm going to have to get all these coolers, there's no way. So I end up flying out to Denver, Colorado, just days before I had to pick up all the meat. And I buy this 2012 Honda Odyssey minivan. And I've been delivering beef in that ever since.
That's the beef wagon right there.
It's
A few broken windshields here or there.
it's carried a ton of beef all over the country, and
Yep.
yeah, definitely a couple broken windows. One time when I was headed out to deliver to you guys, actually, but we've upgraded since. I still do most of my deliveries in the minivan, but we also do some deliveries in a Sprinter van with a Thermo King unit. And then I have a delivery driver on board now, and so he does his deliveries. He's got a pickup truck and a trailer with chest freezers on it, which I think is how a lot of the actual ranchers who have their own beef businesses do it, is they use a work truck and a trailer and outfit it with chest freezers. But, I think most people just figure out what works for them.
Yeah.
I started doing it in the minivan. I'd get all the meat into coolers. You go and get a bit of dry ice. You put the dry ice in a plastic bag, the plastic bag in a brown paper bag, and then your meat stays frozen for 2 to 3 days, enough time to drive across the country and get it all delivered.
Wow, I didn't realize that the business started just based off of your own personal health curiosity and interest in carnivore and red meat. And now it's amazing to think how much the business has grown. You have hundreds and hundreds of customers across the country, and it's such a great service because the biggest question we still get asked on the podcast is, hey, what are some great sources for grass-finished beef? And then you're also solving the problem for the rancher too, where they're so focused on ranching that they don't really have time to serve anyone outside of their local community. So I'm sure that they love you because you're getting their beef all around the country, whether it's California, Texas, New Jersey, Florida, you go all over the place.
Yeah, Riley, August, if you guys are listening, you guys love me. I know you do.
Yeah.
No, we've become good friends. The ranchers, the grass finishers, they're young. I want to say Riley's probably 26 years old, and then August is 28 years old.
Wow.
And it's I rely on them as much as they rely on me. They both have beef businesses of their own in their local areas.
Yeah.
So I would imagine they would keep cranking if, Jake Steaks disappeared tomorrow and we weren't doing what we're doing. The biggest thing for us is it's a chance for us to provide a service. And I suppose if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably go back to doing superintendent work, concrete and steel warehouses. But this is a blast, man. I've delivered to like 600 families in 45 states. I get to be out on the farm, away from any type of office or desk job. When I'm on the road, the van is my office. Phone calls, when I get off the road, catch up on text messages and paperwork. But the ranchers, the farmers and grass finishers, we're all in Missouri. We've kind of become like family friends. So it's been fun to see what they do, and we bounce ideas off each other. So at least for the beef businesses, I don't think I can teach them much about what they do in finishing animals. Horseman Cattle Co., run by August Horseman. He's been doing this on his own for almost a decade. And then Riley Israel, which is Diamond Eye Cattle Co., she and her father, they've been doing this together since she was a little girl. And he's been doing it together most of his life, or doing it on his own, and now with his daughter most of his life.
Is August first generation rancher?
Yeah, I believe so. He was just on a podcast, Decentralized Radio,
Oh, yeah.
with Tristan and what's his co-host, Ryan, I think.
Ryan, yeah.
And he tells his story on there. But I think he's at least first generation regenerative, what he's doing.
Gotcha.
Grass finishing,
Yeah.
things of that nature.
Yeah. I think it would be really helpful to understand what you've learned about just the difference between the different labels out there, whether it's regenerative, grass-fed, grass-finished, just from your perspective, what you've seen from like a ranch that's actually doing things regeneratively.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing I would say on that is if you try something and you like it and you're able to go and see for yourself how the animals are being raised, or someone can go and see on your behalf who you trust, I would strongly recommend getting your food from that source.
Yeah.
Food it's such a huge part of what we do as humans, especially as Americans. But food is such a confusing thing in this country for most people. But if you can narrow it down and find how to get meat from these farms that are doing regenerative practices, we don't mess with certifications and labels and stuff. I don't fully understand that, but I do think you got to pay for certifications, at least like file the paperwork and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't ask the producers I source from to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You earn people's trust, and then you just do what you can to keep it. I've had one bad luck experience where a producer, he was doing all of his animals on grass and forage, and things were going real well. And then I went back to him and started seeing bags of animal feed and stuff, and essentially the guy was just cutting corners, probably getting a little too anxious at a money-making opportunity. So I just said, hey, if that's how you want to raise your animals, so be it. It's your prerogative, but I'm not going to be able to source from you. And so quit sourcing from him. Didn't have access to lamb meat for a long time because of that, but I now have access to another producer that does raise his animals on grass and forage and pasture. So I don't know. I've listened to podcasts and stuff on the different certifications, regenerative, grass-fed, grass-finished, all that stuff. Truthfully, it kind of goes over my head.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of minutia. Really what I'm focused on is the grass finishers, farmers and producers that I'm able to get meat to, and then just hustling up and getting that out to as many people as possible, and trying to help people employ this concept of like nose to tail, animal based, a little bit of food security, have a chest freezer in the garage or in the pantry and have it stocked with beef. Sure, you're still going to go to the store and get other items, or to the farmer's market, or maybe you're part of a co-op. But in this model or this service that we're providing, at least you have your chest freezer full of beef or pork or whole pasture-raised chickens and sometimes lamb, and then you're not going to the grocery store and you have, I don't know, how do you figure out at the grocery store where that meat comes from?
It's impossible.
I don't know how you even start to do it. Call phone numbers on the backs of labels and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it personally.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's a rolling the dice. I mean, it's probably mostly coming from overseas, I think, from a grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good experiment for everyone to try to go to your butcher and just ask them if they know the source of the meat. And most of them don't know.
Yeah.
Like I remember we were at a really respected grocery store in Texas, and we asked the butcher, what farms do you source your meat from? And they were like, I think the terminology used was like, it's a big farm. I think they have places in Nebraska and somewhere else. I'm like, okay, so it's probably processed in Brazil and then shipped there or something like that and packaged in the U.S. And they're claiming U.S. pasture-raised beef, so the average consumer just goes there. That's why your services are great, where I think you touched on a good point. It's less about the certification and more just finding a source or a person that you trust. That way you can ask all the actual questions and just verify that it's coming from a really good farm.
It probably is. I don't know. People have so much on their plates as it is. Life is busy. People have families. They have children, full-time jobs. I mean, my life is busy as well. This is just how I've decided to spend my time, is go out there, get to know the grass finishers, get to know their values and their systems. And the grass finishers, it's interesting because in the beginning I was trying to get meat from as many different producers as I could, because I thought, okay, this is how I decentralize this business and always have access to as much product as possible. But then in time I realized the better way to do this business is to get a couple really good producers and just source from them. And then over time they grow their herds and they, get their soil better, get their grass better, develop stronger genetics in their herds. And that's what has happened. And I don't take any credit for this. They would have been doing it anyways. But I think maybe this created more of an incentive to hurry up and do it. And so that's what I'm focused on now, is just focusing on sourcing animals from these herds and the producers and ranchers that steward these animals, and then getting that product out to as many households as possible. Because I do think you can just go round and round in circles trying to figure out where the food you're eating actually comes from. But if you know someone that knows someone and you can get in contact with that source and you have, the financial means, the resources for it, then fill a chest freezer up. You know where your animal came from. You know that your ground beef came from just one carcass going through the meat grinder at a time. And you know how to get more of it if the experience goes well.
Right. Yeah.
And if it doesn't go well and you want to source from someone else, I mean, I'll send you to a different rancher if you want to just deal with them directly. Through the beef initiative and other events, conventions, conference type stuff. I've met other ranchers and grass finishers and producers around the country that if I can't get to a customer in time with animals from Missouri, I'll refer them to someone local in their area. It's good for the farmer. It's good for the consumer. It's probably good for Jake's Steaks too.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a good way to be a trusted advisor, is to almost give someone advice that's like contrary to your own interests, where it's like, of course your natural incentive would be, go through me, but you're like, no, I just want to help you get healthy and provide you with the service you're looking for. So if it's just going directly to August or someone else, like, I know you're always happy to make that intro, and you've done that to a few different friends that we've had too, which is great. Jake, I wanted to touch on like just the logistics or the price points and what you're getting from buying beef in bulk, because that's a huge question that we get. So like, what different options are there? What are the price points? What's the amount of beef that you're getting? I think that would be super helpful to dig into.
Yeah, so our big focus is animal shares, which it technically includes a 16th of a beef, but we really try to focus on eighths, quarters, and halves. As you buy more meat from us, the price per pound goes down because it makes our job easier. Every time we got to divide an animal into half or into a quarter and into an eighth, it's just a little more time consuming. The price per pound increases a little bit. Our prices fluctuate based on fuel prices, obviously, because we're driving it out personally. We are going to start trying to ship a little more often. We're going to target like November 1st to like April 1st as a shipping window because it's cooler everywhere in the country. So if you're going to try to figure it out, I think that's the best time. Right now, currently on an eighth of a beef, we're at $7.25. We guarantee 65 pounds of beef. And we get really high efficiency yields off these animals. It did take a little while, but in time, the processors really started to get on board with the program of, keeping back as much as the fat and the offal, the bones, the bone marrow, knuckle joints, ankle joints, all of those things that you can put to use in bone broth and soup stock, getting the liver, the kidney, heart, sometimes the pancreas, thymus, the sweetbreads, and getting real high efficiency off these animals. So that all comes as part of the animal share. You don't just get ground beef. You get what a lot of times is called mid cuts, short ribs, roast, bone-in cuts, and then a good portion of steaks as well. I don't know the USDA certification on this stuff, but prime and choice cut steaks basically categorizes or would encompass everything we're bringing out. Ribeyes, bone-in rib steaks, KC strips, T-bones. If a person wants the tenderloin intact, we'll bring out a whole tenderloin or a half tenderloin, or you can do the filet meat. But the best way to source from us, I think the sweet spot is the quarter beef. Right now we've got a quarter beef at $13.90, guarantee 120 pounds of animal product, and it's a blended quarter. So we have the whole animal slaughtered under inspection, USDA inspection, and then every quarter beef that comes off that animal, each quarter gets an equal amount of that animal. And so you get to experience everything off the animal. Price points on by the cut, we do a little bit of sales by the cut. We do a $500 minimum order when we're delivering nationwide in person, in the van or in the truck. I guess if someone was interested in person by the cut, the best thing to do is just get a hold of me. And man, I'm not real slick with laptop computers and the internet and stuff, but I have like an Excel spreadsheet and I have a screenshot of it and I just send that out and it functions as a menu. And then people just convey what they want through text message or a phone call and get it out. And usually after a person's ordered once, it's pretty clear to them how everything works. And then in the future, it's just a text and we hit them along our next route out.
So a quarter is about 120 pounds of beef?
That's what I guarantee, yeah.
What time frame do you usually tell people that'll last? Like, I mean, probably like a pound or two a day, generally, like 2 pounds a day. But like, what do you usually tell people?
It varies. I'll personally go through a quarter beef in less than 3 months. You guys probably do too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you guys using all the bones and stuff at the house?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some broths and stuff like that.
I just made a really good short ribs with some of your beef.
Heck yeah, man.
So
from Diamond Eye or from Horseman?
I think it was Diamond Eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have those cut 4x4, 4 inches by 4 inches. I think there's 3 bones in each, but those have like a real nice fat cap on both sides.
Yep.
So Horseman's usually come out. I think it's called flanking or cross cut, and it's longer. Those cook up real nice too. But yeah, I typically will tell people 8 to 12 weeks just for expectation management. If it gets to 12 weeks and we don't have it out to you yet, I always tell people just reach out to me and we'll come up with a plan. If I need to refund the money, then I will. But for the most part, we get out to everyone within 8 to 12 weeks.
And how long will beef last in a chest freezer?
I think the industry standard for guaranteeing meat is like up to a year in a freezer.
It's around a year.
That's what I guarantee. It's probably a bit of a gamble, but I'm betting on the fact that people are going to go through this meat pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just based on the flavor profile and then how they feel eating this red meat, the nutrient density. A lot of the feedback I get is guys that order from me, all of a sudden their significant others, their wives are eating more ground beef. Their children are eating more ground beef. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it has something to do with the texture, because we only do one carcass through the processing facility, through the meat grinder at a time. So, and I mean, the flavor profile is phenomenal.
It's so good.
So good.
Speaking of that, I remember, so we've had both Diamond Eye and Hortzman's, and the first time we cooked up a couple ribeyes last fall from you, we were like, we've never had grass-fed beef like this. Like, we love our local Texas farms, but is it the rain in Missouri? Like, what? Because I know it's so hard to finish an animal on grass and have it taste amazing, but whatever they're doing is unbelievable.
It's insane.
Yeah, I don't.
I heard it's the rain and the water that you guys get in Missouri.
Who'd you hear that from?
That Olagala, what is it? Olagala Aquifer?
Oh, the Agalala.
Olagala.
I'm not sure how it's pronounced, man. I think it runs under Kansas and Nebraska. Dude, I wish I read more new stuff like that.
Whatever they're doing is incredible.
You know, I think with Horseman's herd, I think it's probably the diversity of grass species that you'll see on his land. He is in the northeast part of the state, a little more prone to drought than in the southwest part of the state, where Diamond Eye Cattle Co. is. And so Horseman has just by necessity had to develop a really resilient herd of animals, but also resilient grasses and forages. So that could have something to do with it. I mean, I think he has a really good eye as I think you call it a stockman, as to knowing when the animal's ready to actually go to slaughter and for processing. I think in the southwest part of the state, where Diamond Eye Cattle Co. is located, I think they have phenomenal genetics. They primarily raise South Pole cattle. It's a composite breed. I think, if I know the story right, a group of cowboys in the southeast came up with it in the 80s. I want to say it's Red Angus, Semipole, Hereford, and Barzona. But they do really well on grass in southwest Missouri. Same thing with Riley and her father, is they have a great eye as to when an animal's ready and knowing to send it to slaughter. And then it's just the diversity of grasses that they raise and finish them on. There's perennials, there's native forages, there's warm weather grasses, cool weather grasses, the cover crops, which is what would be considered like an annual. And I think all of that contributes to the flavor profile. When you're raising and finishing on grass, you get a lot of nutrient uptake, minerals from the soil as well, but you also get like beta carotene and probably polyphenols and the stuff that gives the grasses its colors. You probably get the uptake from all of that contributes to the flavor profile. So that could be part of it. It could be the water, man.
I think
it's yeah.
Well, whatever they're doing it right, because it's an incredible product.
In Missouri, man, I drink a lot of reverse osmosis filtered water, trying to protect my pineal gland from all that fluoride. But it's I think the water's probably good. I mean, there's good rainfall in the southwest.
You don't drink tap water?
No.
He doesn't put his laptop on his balls either. We did a show like last week or this week, and I had my laptop on my balls, and I'm like, we're going to get roasted for this episode. I was just frying it.
Your kid's going to come out with 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Don't do that, man. So we were at our buddy Tucker's house in Dripping Springs, and he served us these grass-finished steaks that were amazing. And he was saying that they were actually from a heifer. And he either read some book or saw some documentary on some restaurant that has the best steak in the world. I don't know if it was in Spain or somewhere else.
Spain.
And the guy was saying that his secret was actually selectively breeding heifers. Do any customers request heifers, or have you heard anything about the meat being more tender or anything like that?
There's a handful of customers that this isn't their first time buying animal shears, and they'll ask for heifers. They will. The shine's starting to hit.
You can hear me slurring my words. Like this hooch that you brought, is it hooch or shine, or is that the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. Yeah, this is pretty nice, though. This is a Southwest Missouri.
What's the proof on this?
Treat as well.
No idea.
I want to say 115.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best part about you is you go to get steaks and you're like, I've got tallow, I've got noble protein, I've got
Honey.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
honey.
Raw honey.
Yeah. I've had a handful of customers that have asked for heifers. I think just because they've sourced animal meat before directly from the rancher.
Yeah.
And so they generally know. Most of what I get are mature steers. From time to time, Diamond Eye Cattle will set aside some heifers for me. Usually if they can see that they're going to produce really good like steaks and brisket as well.
Yeah.
And they're just doing that based on observation, just like certain visual indicators that they know, after years and years of doing this. I don't know. I would have to defer to Horseman or to Israel on that one. But they would speak to it, and you can reach out to them. I do know from experience that some of the heifers that I have brought home from the processing facility, I'll deliberately reach back out to those customers to try to get some feedback and hear what they think. And they do comment on how tender the meat is.
Cool.
So
One of the things that you said was that your business really started to take off in 2022. Do you have a sense of how many miles you logged on the road? Because you are the road warrior.
dude, way too many. Way too many. I listen to a lot of Coulter Wall and Waylon Jennings and just all these
that van's
country
been
music
everywhere.
playlists. Say it again.
That van has been everywhere.
It's been in a ton of places.
Every state.
You know when that Chinese spy balloon thing was going on?
Oh yeah. You were like storm chasing it.
I was like, I wonder if this minivan shows up on their radar or not. Like if they're watching this, I wonder if they're looking at it and being like, why does this one vehicle just keep going back and forth? But
yeah, the Chinese are definitely onto you.
I don't know.
They're buying up a lot of farmland, so maybe.
I am looking for a good source for pangolin meat.
What's that?
It's how Mickey Mouse contracted the coronavirus.
Are you
It's straight out of South Park, man.
Some bat soup. All right, so if you had to guess mileage, what do you think? Approximate number.
Bro, on the minivan, I've put 153,000 miles on that since May of 2022.
Damn.
And then the diesel, the Sprinter van that we got, there's already 52,000 miles on that. And we just got that new. We did a lease to own on it. So what's that? 52 plus, what'd I say, 153?
Yeah.
53?
So, I mean, that's like 205 right there. I really, the next phase of the business, yeah, I would like to, do like a 1,000,000 gallon challenge and see how many gallons of fuel I could burn through in a 12-month period.
Yeah.
You should be sponsored by some oil company.
But it's like those memes you see on social media where they're talking about like, I eat twice the amount of red meat today just to
Offset whatever a vegan is doing.
Yeah. I want to do that. I want to do the 1,000,000 gallon challenge, but I've thought about doing it with gallons of fuel, but I've also thought about doing it with gallons of raw milk.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think for all of our environmental listeners too, you're probably still more environmentally friendly than shipping beef in from like Brazil,
Dude,
all
100%.
the other countries, right? Like the jet fuel that goes into that.
Yeah, I never drink through straws either. I just
You're an ESG person's dream.
I'm all about it. I don't like the labels and the classifications and all that stuff we get wrapped up in.
Just pure transaction.
Yeah, I think so.
Sell beef.
Yeah, I think so. The product that we're delivering, maybe there's an argument out there that like, oh, you're driving all the way across the country and burning up all this fuel. Someone's going to buy that gasoline and burn it up.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
and probably, to deliver of something of much less significance and value.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I don't think about it a whole lot. This is a free market, It's enterprise and capitalism. People should do what they want, and not harm others, obviously. And I don't think what I'm doing is harming people.
Absolutely.
So
I think
Buying beef in bulk is like, food security, one, but also you're helping people make beef more affordable. So year round they can buy beef that's high quality and get access to nutrient density, like you were saying.
yeah, I think so. I do think people can probably they can probably purchase ground beef less expensively, but if you're looking at nutrient density and the actual values of the food that you're consuming, The shine's definitely hitting, bro.
Consumption.
Yeah.
You might be able to fuel your car with straight shine and drive across the country.
Dude, I won't take any chances with that van. I took that van to the mechanic the other day. I asked the guy, I said, how's it looking? He's like, dude, this thing's falling apart. I was like, oh. Commented on the paint job and stuff. I was like, bro.
You're like,
Yeah.
no.
It'll get the beef there
Yeah.
frozen.
We got to get Noble wrapped around the car logo. Or
On
Meat
the
Mafia.
van?
Yeah.
It probably needs a new paint job first. But
Is it'll get the beef there frozen your mantra? You might need that on the side of the van.
yeah, I don't know. I want to put something on the big van or something on the truck and trailer.
Yeah.
Because we're putting so many miles on it that I feel like that's just free advertisement.
Yeah.
I don't know if people on the highway really observe what's going on around them in terms of like, billboards and signs and stuff. But
Yeah.
we are all over the country, rest area, parking lots, gas stations, sometimes hotel parking lots, stop and get off the road.
Just get one that just says glyphosate's killing you, or like fuck Bill Gates or something like that.
That would just be like Instagram in a nutshell, dude. Like if you have looked at any health and nutrition information on Instagram, immediately the algorithm is just flooding you with like glyphosate warnings and stuff. It's the world we live in, though.
Yeah.
I don't know that we change it in our lifetime even, but who knows?
Yeah. We just try and have the best impact that we possibly can.
Yeah, personal decisions, personal change, communities, neighborhoods, things of that nature. So I don't know if there's any more big answers to be had out there. You just decide for yourself and then influence those around you in a positive way.
One of the other things I love about the way that you do business is you obviously have a website, but you're very proactive about just giving out your cell phone number and just being like, dude, call me. And you always pick up right on the spot too. And like, you'll customize orders for people. And there have been times for us where we've been like, hey, can you help us get milk, or can you help us get bison meat or something like that? And you'll throw some of that in the order, or you'll do whatever you can to try and find a ranch or something that can accommodate that. And I feel like that transaction experience is amazing. It's way better than just trying to like go on a website, and if the ranch is out, then you're shit out of luck. That's the benefit of just working directly with you.
Yeah. I tried to get a website up and running in the beginning. A buddy of mine helped out. I don't know, man. I suck at the internet. Like a couple apps I'm really good at, the ESPN app, so checking scores and stuff. I tried to mess with the website and go that route. I got stuck and hung up on it, and I was like, let me just focus on what I'm good at, which is talking, texting from time to time, emails, and then just figuring out what people want and then getting it out to them. We haven't had anyone call us and say, hey, come take the beef. We don't want it, or we don't like it. So I think the phone calls and the text messages allow me to figure out pretty quickly what it is that people want and then get it out to them as well. In time, we would like to start using the internet a bit more, placing orders through like Shopify stuff, e-commerce.
So you will start shipping potentially.
I'm gonna try to start shipping some frozen beef starting next week. So November 1st is when I want to try to start. I have a buddy helping out now, so he does a lot of the deliveries and driving, and so that's gonna free me up to be home in Southwest Missouri, and I can start doing some shipping nationwide. Nice. I think we're gonna focus on like probably 15 to 35 pound bundles, and then we'll probably ship some 8s of beef, which is like 65 pounds around the country. I just have not devoted the time and effort to figuring out how to do it, but I think November, December, January is a good time to try to figure it out while it's cold out. But yeah, I do think with the internet, I feel like you gotta take a look at a site, and you gotta scour through it, read all about it, and then even then you're going to call like a friend or family member. Yeah. Be like, have you ever done this or used this? So I'm trying to get it set up with this business at least, where friends and family members can just tell each other about what we're doing. And then there's that eliminates so much of the doubt and uncertainty. Yeah. From time to time, people will call and I'll know who they're referred by because they'll tell me, but then they will just put us through the ringers and question us. And I'll explain to them like, hey, I'm only going to earn your trust after I've delivered this beef to you and you have tried it, because you've already received a word-of-mouth referral from someone that you trust in your neighborhood or community. So sometimes it's not always the best fit, but for the most part, if people call or text, they're able to understand and conceptualize what we're doing, how the farmers are raising their animals, how we're handling the meat. Nobody else, the processor, they get the animal, they slaughter the animal, and then it goes and it dry hangs for 14 days in their chiller facility or their dry aging room, and then they cut it, so process, package, and freeze it, and then I go pick it up personally or individually. So everything's done at a USDA stamped or process inspected facility, and then I pick it all up, and then from there I leave and go straight to the household. So it's not like there's a bunch of middlemen in there where something could go wrong and I don't know about it. It's literally just myself and a buddy of mine. He's a family friend. We go pick up all the meat and then we take it out there.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the most common feedback that you get from people who are just ordering beef in bulk for the first time?
They're like, man, you should really get a website set up where we just no, I'm kidding. We're all just so used to just like hopping on and ordering.
Yeah.
So I just joke about it. People love the ground beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really love the ground beef. I do get a lot of feedback from parents who order that their children they're seeing improvements in their health. So like their kids are significantly bigger than their peers. Not big like fat or obese, but big like
Taller. Yeah.
Yeah, just
More muscle mass.
development essentially. So normal human development. That's a lot of the feedback that I get. People do feel better. There's couples that have called me and said, "Hey, we got pregnant. We haven't changed anything. We're just eating grass-finished beef from a known source, and we're healthier."
When you do get your website, you need to put that on there.
Yeah.
Helping people get
We
pregnant.
will
since
help you get
2020.
pregnant.
Pregnancy pictures.
It's all pregnancy pictures.
I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it. I'm going to have just a bunch of stock photos on there.
Yeah.
Make it look
100%.
real generic. No, I don't. We'll put stuff on there, so.
Well, a lot of your customers are referral based, I feel like, which speaks to the service that you're providing to them, because you're not going to recommend a friend or family member unless it's that good of a service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
confident, they trust you, they want to tell other people about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's true, and that's something that we've gone for. I mean, we have garage codes for households all over the country.
Yeah.
You just earn people's trust, and then you don't mess it up. And I don't know. I mean, we don't do everything right, but if there's something that a customer doesn't like, we try to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of it is just establishing rapport. And then the product is really good. It's you just sourcing and distributing. You just do all that stuff right, and then the product gets there and it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So don't
And
do
you're
dumb
also-
stuff.
And you're also willing to go the extra mile too, not just in the way that you drive, but
Yeah.
with Harry, didn't you guys go and get the chest freezer together?
Yeah.
Or he got the chest freezer for you with
No,
that?
we went together to Lowe's. It was an amazing experience because I was like, I have no clue what size freezer I need to get for this quarter cow. You're like, yeah, I've done this a million times. Here's my military discount. Done deal.
Yeah, we did do it together.
Yeah.
We. I remember that Lowe's we went to in Austin. I'd had my window broken out the night before,
Yes. You had cardboard over the window.
and it was hot, dude. It was like the dead heat of summer. I was scrambling to get all that meat delivered because it was so hot outside.
Dude.
So everything got delivered frozen, thank God. Yeah, I'll help people out. Like probably, I don't know, several dozen people we've gone and got their chest freezer, or if they're not able to come along, I'll just go get it. Someone at Lowe's will help me load it up and we'll take it out. Usually I just say like, hey, just throw me a bone, $50 delivery fee or something, and I'll get it out to them. I don't know. I just think a chest freezer is not like a real daunting thing to acquire and place in a household. All of our grandparents probably had them. I bet most of our parents have them. So if you own a home and got a garage, have a chest freezer in there, have a little bit of food security. I mean, there's some parts of the country where you got to have a backup plan, a generator, Customers in Florida, usually when they're ordering, try to have a conversation like, what's the backup plan in case you lose power and you got a quarter or half beef in there.
Yeah.
But most people know their environment and know what they're doing. So.
Yeah.
It's funny to me the contrast between this conversation around like getting a chest freezer, ordering your beef in bulk, and then like the reality where most people are like Uber Eating a lot of their meals and just like so used to the convenience factor. But there's so much value in actually like closing the gap and actually taking a little bit more ownership of your food security, where your food is coming from, knowing you're a rancher, knowing the guy who's showing up at your door delivering it for you.
Yeah.
Like, there's seriously something powerful with that.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. I think I don't know. I saw a commercial about Uber Eats stuff the other day. I was just thinking, like, when would I ever do that? Like, when would I ever be like, yeah, I want someone else to cook my food, and I want someone else to bring it to me. Like, I don't know, man. That takes way more trust than what I'm doing, probably.
For sure.
But yeah, I think there's definitely value in it, and I think there's probably other people around the country doing it too. I really think I'm pretty fortunate to have met you guys in July of last year, because that led to just a whole string of other introductions and stuff.
Totally.
And you meet people along the way who introduce you to others, and opportunities arise. I do think there's other people around the country doing this, though. So people see what's going on with the food supply. Like, it's I don't know. I mean, grocery stores serve an awesome function and have historically, but there's 100% room in the American consumer market, food market, for custom services like this. So, and ranchers are doing it. Most ranchers have a beef business on the side.
Yeah.
I think, at least the ranchers that I talk to, I guess.
Yeah.
So
It would have been fascinating if Jake had been doing this since like March of 2020 when COVID hit, just to see the spike to his business.
Oh, yeah.
When you showed up to the grocery store and there was no meat left at all on the shelves.
Meat.
yeah, if I'd have been doing it since then, wow. Yeah. That's I was doing warehouses back then, working as a field superintendent. But I do remember during that time, everyone was talking about meat shortages. And the general contractor I was working for at the time, I was doing warehouses in Northwest Nevada, essentially like Washoe County, Reno, Nevada. But the GC is based out of the Bay Area, San Francisco, Petaluma, Milpitas. Well, one of the field superintendents that works out of the Bay Area, he has a herd of cattle in Northern California. And so he blasts out an email to all the other superintendents and said, hey, I heard about the meat shortages going on. I raise cattle as a hobby, and I've got animal shears available. And that would have been like fall 2020. And I bought an animal shear then. I bought a quarter beef. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about grass-fed or finished. But I just bought an animal shear off that guy just to put in my apartment in Northwest Nevada. But yeah, shoot, man, hindsight's 2020. But if I'd have started doing it then,
again. So.
Yeah, another round of Corona.
Good thing to have your cell phone number. Yeah,
For real.
I can't wait to get my booster shot.
What I imagine most people who started ordering from you experienced what Brett's talking about, though, where it's like we all went through that, where you show up to the grocery store and you're like, this is the craziest experience of all time. You know, letting one person in at a time, stocks aren't or shelves aren't fully stocked. So I think that your business is probably, there's a lot of tailwinds to it, where people are growing aware of the fact that, you know, food isn't necessarily a given. There's a potential for these events that could happen where food isn't going to be there. Right.
I know what you mean. Like now, dude, you can go to a Whole Foods and there might not be Siete chips. Like, come on, dude. Siete chips.
Pretty fire.
So good, bro. Good. So good. Those things are out of stock everywhere, you know. But those things are awesome, man.
Is that your go-to road snack? Not carnivore bars?
Raw meat.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So I prefer some raw ground beef and our beef snack sticks.
These beef sticks are insane.
Let me see.
You gave us a couple today. They're Horstman's.
They're good. They're good. Yeah, Horstman Cattle Co.
These are thick sticks.
Yeah, easy. Easy. You can.
Jake Steak's got thick sticks.
Horseman checks his direct messages. You can text him, Harry. Those are good. He uses what's the best way to describe this? I think he uses animals that maybe are not quite ready to be steak animals, but they would make like awesome ground beef animals. And so what he does is he puts the entire animal into the grind or the blend that he uses for the beef sticks. And those things are phenomenal, man.
They're so good.
Yeah, they're real good.
They're some of the best beef sticks we've ever had.
They're nice, man. I swear by them. They're the only beef sticks I eat. So,
do you know what makes a good cow that would be steak ready versus something that's more ready for ground beef?
There's a few things that I've observed being on the farm with Diamond Eye and with horsemen. A lot of times they'll talk about the chest or the brisket. You want that filled out. You don't want a whole bunch of like loose skin or hide. You want to see that has fully expanded. Sometimes you're looking for what those grass finishers will call happy lines, and those are just vertical stretch lines from the weight of the gut or the stomach of the animal hanging down. And then I want to say there's a thing called the haunch, which is on the rear or the hind of the animal, and you want to be able to look at that. If you're looking at the animal head on, you want to be able to look at that, and it needs to be like round or filled out. If it's making like a W shape, it's probably still a little bit too lean. But if it's making more of like an arch type shaped, then it should be fat and ready. So those are some of the key indicators I've picked up on.
You stare at a lot of cows' butts.
Just endlessly, man. Just nonstop carnivore Aurelius style, just daydreaming about cows. No, I don't know. We try to get out on the farms at least once a week whenever we're home. And then a lot of conversations with the grass finishers to find out what's ready. Certainly in the beginning when we were doing 2, 3, 4 animals a month, we were, going out there and trying to speak for the animals that we wanted. We're doing upwards of 12 to 14 animals a month right now. So there's a little bit more communication. Just it has to happen over the phone.
Yeah.
But those guys, they know what they're doing 100%. So, but I bet I get out on the farms at least once every other week now. So
I would have to think they're fired up by the distribution too, of just you're putting product in the hands of people that would never ever access their product.
Maybe they'd probably never tell me they're excited about something I'm doing, but that's just the nature of the beast when you're dealing with ranchers. You know? Yeah. There's no compliments and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty excited. Yeah. I mean, I think this would have happened regardless. I just think perhaps it would have taken longer. I probably just approached it with a greater sense of urgency because, I mean, how the hell else was I going to spend my time, Might as well be out there grinding and building something and working towards something. But I do think we all have egos,
Yeah.
We're all humans. It's got to be exciting to see your label or your brand showing up in someone's household in a state that you've never even been in personally.
Totally.
Right.
So I think the one thing I would take credit for is that I've approached this with enough enthusiasm and ambition that it's gotten something very valuable, in my opinion, to people that may have never had access to it. Not access to it like financially, but access to it as how would they have ever found these farmers or grass finishers. So, and I haven't done it all on my own. There's been a handful of guys along the way. BK Actual, World News of BK. He started promoting me on Spotify on his podcast like right from the beginning. I think it was like April or May of 2022.
You've been working with him for a while.
Yeah, we've become good friends over the last year and a half, and then he consistently mentions Jake Stakes on his he does a podcast every Saturday morning. It's what he does is pretty clever, man. He just does a news roundup. It's like 3 hours long, and he just does it on his own with podcasting software that he's purchased and his iPhone or iPad, and I'm pretty sure he does it in his home in Southern California. And he shouts out Jake Stakes just about every Saturday, which is awesome because he has a huge base and following of veterans, active duty service members, law enforcement, border patrol. So we take a lot of meat to service members and veterans and their families around the country. You guys came along July of 22. Mm-hmm. We connected the Beef Initiative. Some other guys local here, Dan Holloway and his co-host Ross, the Drinking Bros, they brought me on their show May of 23, I think.
That was big time.
Yeah, it was huge, man. So probably 200 new customers,
wow,
families from doing that episode with them. So no one does anything just all on their own.
Yeah.
Like this whole idea of just grinding in silence, like sure, work hard, but you're constantly meeting people and making connections and stuff.
It's also like an incredibly boring philosophy around building a business and doing it in a fun way.
Yeah.
Like if you want to have a a business that actually lasts, and you need to enjoy doing it. And for me, at least, I feel like that comes from connection and like actually having other people involved with things that you're doing.
It does, man. It's more fun. It's a lot more fun for sure. And I mean, obviously, there's been hours and hours on the road, but I call buddies around the country, and talk ideas and just
On the road.
BS, whatever.
Send some memes, maybe.
Yeah, you send some memes here and there. So there's probably you and like 5 other dudes around the country that I get a meme from like every day. So
Just try and give you some enjoyment.
Yeah, dude.
That's got one of the craziest algorithms. Like his Instagram algo is worth studying.
It's either monkeys or the most autistic memes you've ever seen that would cancel me in a second. And it's like you guys and Reagan are the 3, and Khalil are like the 4 people that get them.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish the memes you sent me would show up as emojis on my phone.
Yeah.
I wish I could send your memes as emojis. But
didn't you say after you went on Dan's show that you just had vets that were calling you like all day long for weeks straight? Like dudes in the middle of the night were calling you looking for beef.
yeah, there was
Jake, let me see your beef.
Thirsty Thursday. Things would blow up on Thursdays, man. I would be getting all kinds of phone calls from dudes around the country that had a couple drinks, worked all day, came home, had a couple drinks. It's Thirsty Thursday. They'll call me. I'll be driving through the night or something. I'll usually until I had this driver, I would drive until like 1 or 2 a.m. and then just try to find somewhere safe to sleep, a rest area or lit parking lot or something, and pass out, wake up with the sun, and start driving. So there's some days where you don't want to be on the phone at all because you haven't slept. And then there's other days where you're like, God, I just wish someone would call to help keep me awake, But after I did that show, just phone call after phone call of bros around the country that are like, dude, I've been thinking this way. I've been thinking I need to stock up on meat. I'm sick and tired of the stuff I'm getting from the grocery store. I got no idea where it's coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people around the country that wants to support local businesses, that want to support ranchers and farmers. People aren't naive to what's going on. I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I don't know if it's sinister. I don't know if it's incompetence. But there's weird stuff going on in the country. People want to know people that are capable and competent of providing a good service and a good product.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like people aren't naive, but most people are afraid to act on like the feelings that they're actually coming to terms with. Like most people are just like afraid to really start preparing for things, not necessarily in a prepper way, but really starting to think about things differently, like break their existing patterns around, what they're doing for work, and just like getting a little bit more freedom for themselves.
It could be that, I don't know, man. I think people are just busy.
Yeah.
Dude, we have
distracted.
so much information coming in nonstop, and so much access to information nonstop. I think we do have a tough time prioritizing what matters and what doesn't. But people ought to give this a shot. A lot of times I'll get phone calls where someone wants to like dig into the weeds and discuss the details and understand the logistics, and that's fine. I'll entertain that. But at the end of the phone call, I try to help them understand, like, hey, we've done this for like 700 households nationwide. Like, let's just recap. Let me make sure I know what you want, and I'm pretty sure we can get it right for you.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, and we brought you a half beef, I'll come get it from you, and we'll figure something out,
Yeah.
I'll use that beef back home in Missouri,
yeah.
or I'll donate it to a local charity in Missouri, or we'll find someone else that wants to buy it,
Yeah.
Right.
So it's beef. It's frozen. It's not like it's some consumer good that's just going to go bad overnight. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you deliver to some very interesting people, to say the least. So
the Twitter bros, man, Twitter bros.
What do you think is the craziest customer request or interaction you've ever had?
It's definitely that dude Ross at the Drinking Bros, man. He wanted what did he want? He wanted pig snouts.
Pig snouts?
Yeah, he kept telling me he was joking, but I was like, nah, dude, I don't understand the joke. So I went and got him a bunch of pig snouts.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I took him a bunch of pig
And
noses. I don't know if you ever got him or not. I had to leave him behind in the freezer.
He had some interesting words for Harry and I when we met him.
Yeah,
that we'll say off air.
Yeah. He reminds me of the guys from Anchorman.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude, he is so entertaining.
That dude's wild.
What was your experience like on that show? Because I had no idea what to expect when we went to their studio.
It was the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Walk in within 5 seconds.
They're
Ross
rowdy,
is calling
man.
us gay.
Yeah, they're rowdy. That is their turf, dude. They do and say what they want there. I like those guys a lot. I appreciate
unreal.
what they're doing. I don't entirely know, like what their mission or intention is, but I know, having delivered to a bunch of people that listen to them, that there are a bunch of dudes, guys and gals, truthfully, men and women that I've delivered to around the country, that they feel like a sense of solidarity rallying around that show, and
Really?
shared ideas, topics, values. And then, I mean, some people love to just bullshit and joke around. Like, you can listen to serious news all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I listen to Daily Wire and Shapiro and Matt Walsh. Like, that stuff is serious all day long, nonstop.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to hear that all the time. They want something a little more lighthearted. So I think that's good too. But the show was fun. Dan gave me a fair warning. He's like, man, you better have a drink or two. Ross is about to go in on you.
Yeah.
So I'd been doing deliveries all day.
Really?
And so I just got there, jumped on, did the show. But it was cool. It was tremendously helpful. And then delivering to a lot of their listeners around the country has been great too. They're working class people.
Definitely.
So they're not the people at the top making the decisions. These are the actual people that are doing the work, picking up the shovel, clocking in, clocking out every day, and legitimately doing things. So.
Those hard seltzers that they have are strong, man.
Dude, 8%.
You gotta have
Are they
one.
8%?
I mean, we were drunk. I was drunk off of one seltzer.
What?
Not saying much,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
you could
I
say
was right
some
there with
crazy
you.
shit. But
Reagan, will you grab the shine, bro?
you're reloading.
we're taking a
gonna
quick
Quick shine break.
intermission
Yeah.
for a little bit of
Yeah,
extra
that's,
juice.
But drinking bros are interesting because they're really smart, they're really informed, they're really funny. I think they all have good hearts, and they have a master class of building a cult-like audience. It's unbelievable. I mean, you're a firsthand testament to that.
Oh, you're the man.
Drink guy.
Yeah, I like them. I appreciate what they're doing. I didn't know anything about them.
Thanks, Reagan.
Um,
Let's do a little top off.
A little splash.
I learned about them October
Perfect. Yeah,
of.
that's good. Thank you.
Same thing here. I won't be able to do it.
This is you know what Buck Fuffalo says about this, right?
Who's that? Buck Fuffalo?
Yeah, look him up on Spotify, man. Yeah.
Buck Fuffalo.
He's got some
Dude,
good
I need
funny
to get
music.
way more autistic.
Yeah, yeah, dude. The autism kicked in hard the last year and a half, bro. Yeah,
I mean, you're one of the most autistic men that I know.
hands down.
Your business is weaponized autism,
Yeah,
and that's a compliment.
thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
You've got to have some crazier stories in the pig snout, though. You must deliver to some maniacs.
If that's your best story, I'm a little dissatisfied.
Man, he wanted snouts. So here's the deal. A lot of people want organ meats. A lot of people want organ meats, but I don't think that's weird.
No.
Like, we should want
Yeah.
the organ meats.
No, that's
Has,
it.
has anyone ever requested just bull testicles strictly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. People want
Like
that
a
stuff.
solo order of bull testicle.
A chest freezer of testicles?
Have you heard of this dude, Butterdog, on Instagram?
That's your boy.
No. This kid is consuming testicles almost like, like when little kids would get the bubble gum out of the machines?
Have you seen
You put like a
Butterdog?
quarter in?
Oh.
Dude, he's plowing
'em up.
through. He says he's eating them. I don't think he's eating
He's
them.
plowing.
That guy's, he's a marketing master. Reagan, have you seen Butterdog?
I don't know if he's a master. I don't
Elizabeth,
know.
have you seen Butterdog?
He got kicked off
Yeah.
of his college sports team.
Oh, really?
Of his
For
account
eating
shut
balls?
down. Yeah, for eating balls.
Yeah.
That's risky business.
But I don't know if it's because of him or Liver King, but some people do call and request
You
testicles.
can't really bounce back from that.
What, getting kicked off a college sports team?
No, like being the guy who has the social media page where he's just eating balls.
I can't.
Oh,
There's no recovery. Like, you're not getting a job.
I don't know, man. We just shouted him out on your podcast, so
True.
who knows? Yeah.
I mean, we'll hire him. Let me see
He's
this.
I don't know. The kid is weird for sure, but is this
Did you
it?
see this guy? Did you see the Butterfingers video that he did?
Yeah.
He had 5 sticks of
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
He's boys with Jack Flood, though. We got to get him on, too.
Jack is solid.
You deliver to him.
Yeah, Jack is solid.
good
He's just-
stuff.
Have you seen his stuff before?
No. First time.
But he's
Here's the only reason to go to Butterdog's page.
This
Go to
guy's
Butterdog's
wild.
page to find Jack Flood.
Yeah, Jack
Yeah,
Flood's
Jack
a beast.
Flood's
Jack
G.
Flood is solid.
Yeah.
He said he'd
super
come on
based.
too. We got to get him on.
He's just next door, man. Yeah,
Dallas.
He's
in
just
Dallas.
northwest of you guys. So
Oh, dang.
yeah, you guys get him on the show. He's dude, he's a decathlete.
Yeah.
He competes for the U.S. team all over the world. So
That would be our second decathlete on the podcast.
well, hurry up, make it happen, bro.
We'll get him some
You
hoops.
guys,
Yeah.
well, I'll leave the shine behind for him.
Yeah.
You guys have a real good
We
time.
might have to start doing every podcast with a little bit of hooch. What do you think?
Yeah,
Spicy water.
spicy water.
Spicy water.
Well, what we got to do too. So we're doing this podcast at Squatch right now, and one of the things that we're excited about is just seeing more nodes pop up across the country. So Squatch is a great example. 700 members, a lot of animal-based carnivore people here. They're trying to find good sources. So hopefully you'll be able to structure a deal here where get a chest freezer loaded up with meat, and then people that want to buy can just go right to the chest freezer.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. Hopefully we can start a trend of seeing that pop up more across the country, whether it's different gyms, churches, communities. I would have to think that's a big goal for you. So I would think that any listener that's part of that community and is interested, like,
Yeah.
let's just get your cell and hit you up, and we can set that up.
Yeah, that's there is an element of like decentralization that I think is important in all this, and doing stuff like that allows the farmers, allows myself to further decentralize what we're doing, and then keep people stocked up here.
Yeah.
And then friends and family can seek you guys out and tap into that source as well.
Do you feel like, so I feel Squatch is a great example of probably like the perfect place that you could be delivering to, but I still feel like there's a level of care and understanding of like the importance of actually having access to this like fresh, high quality, nutrient dense meat that most consumers don't really have. Like we've kind of lost that appreciation. Do you feel similarly, like maybe there's some part here where like they need to really go through the process and order beef in bulk and really like go through the struggle of, not struggle, but just the process of having to get the chest freezer and having to do all the steps to make it so they actually care about the process?
Nah, I wouldn't get too wrapped up on that. I do like it when people at least call or text me, just so we can establish contact, and I can, I'll lock your contact in or whatever. Buying an animal share, it's cool, but I mean, some people buy an animal share 4 times a year.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal. The meat will keep. It's so easy to hop on and Google search a recipe, YouTube a recipe. There's a great book out there that I always refer people to. Sally Fallon wrote a book called Nourishing Traditions. It's Weston A. Price stuff. It's such common sense stuff, and it's where we all came from, where our parents and grandparents came from. So I don't think if people want to go through that process and have that experience, they should do it. Getting a chest freezer is not a difficult task. I mean, they're made in China and Italy, round the clock, shipped to the U.S. Go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy, and pick one up. I really think what's most important is people just start eating nutrient-dense meat. They're spending money on meat anyways. They're spending money on food anyways. If they would replace those foods that are so incredibly deplete of nutrition with ruminant animal meat, ruminant animals, spade-shaped hooves, multiple stomach chambers, they're, probably humanity's best connection to the grass and to the soil. And, thereby being connected to the grass, connected to the sun. Get your nutrition from ruminant animals.
Yeah.
I know, and I mean, people will go round and round about cholesterol and HDL and LDL and what's the other stuff like statins and blood pressure.
Yes.
And I don't know about all that stuff, man. But like, if you know the source of the red meat, the beef, bison, lamb, and goat meat that you're sourcing, then you're going to have access to the nutrition that comes from the grass and the soil in the form of red meat.
Yeah.
So I do think that's what people should focus on. The getting a chest freezer, that's to-do list type stuff.
Yeah.
ordering a quarter beef, to-do list type stuff. If a person or a group of people want to come out and see the farms, I would imagine all that stuff could be arranged. There's ranchers all over the country that are
want to
doing,
show you their ranch.
yeah,
Yeah.
pasture walks and farm tours. They're incredibly transparent, down to earth, hardworking people. Everyone loves showing off the good work that they've done. How much they love showing it off, that varies by personality. All of that stuff can be arranged, but the sourcing of a chest freezer, the sourcing of an animal share, it's to-do list type stuff. You make a phone call, send a text message, and just prioritize it.
Yeah, well, the thing with Jake, right, is like I think the magic is that it's a very intentional decision, but I think his skill set is it's a very frictionless experience. So
Totally.
instead of trying to scroll through a website, you have all these questions, cell phone, call you, answer all the questions. You show up with their exact order right to the front door, another friction item checked off. Go with them to get the chest freezer done. It's like you're just crossing all these things off that make it so easy to get this product.
That's the goal. That's certainly the idea. Is just cut through some of the minutia of probably things that end up enabling us to put off stuff that we should just do.
Yeah.
And then making this a priority. I think. Kudos to the 700. Almost 700 families that have ordered from us in the last year and a half, because a lot of these people call up, we're on the phone for 10 minutes, and they make a decision and go for it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's just about, executing a plan. And that's, the farmers executing a plan to finish the animals. The processor executes a plan to slaughter, process, and package the animal. And then, my buddy Eric and I, we pick things up and we get it out to the household. So, and then once it's in the chest freezer, once it's in the household, people know what to do with food.
Yeah.
Like, generally speaking, most people are not wasteful. They're frugal and they're intentional, and they want to put that food to good use. They spent good, hard-earned money on it. So at that point, you just trust the consumer to do what's right, to put that animal to use.
Yeah, especially when you make that investment and you know where it's coming from by working with you. I guarantee you the food waste of Jake's Steaks is far less than meat that you would buy at the grocery store.
I hope so. Yeah, I certainly hope so. It's, it probably doesn't have any financial burden on me, but when you go out and you see the effort that the farmers put in, the grass finishers, you see what they put in, the hours that they keep. It's like any craft,
Yeah.
You observe someone really dedicate themselves to their craft, you take a true appreciation for what they're doing. So, and I do think, I've been watching all these documentaries on bison, the Ken Burns PBS documentaries. Steve Ranella wrote a book or an audio book about the American bison. These bovine, these large ruminant animals, I don't know a better way to help people in the city reconnect with grass and soil. Sure, go to the park if you want. The grass is probably littered with fertilizers, I would imagine. But if you can at least be consuming beef and bison from grass-fed and finished herds, then I think you could stay connected to the grass and to the soil and thereby the sun, through photosynthetic processes. So I do think it's a very, not only like nutrient dense and delicious filling product, but it's like a incredibly holistic and healthful product as well.
Yeah. Well, they're coming out with studies that the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio of grass-finished bison is better than wild-caught salmon.
Yeah.
And, America has such fertile farming land because of the bison. I think in 1500 there were 80 million bison, and we hunted them down to like 800 total, and then we've since started to repopulate them. But why people view America as such a fertile farming land is really because of the bison too. It's like our founding ruminant, where beef is super popular. It's amazing, but bison was kind of like the backbone of this country, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, those the American bison and our riverways are like waterways throughout the nation. That book that Ranella wrote, dude, it's fascinating what he uncovers about the history of bison. And then the documentary on PBS, Ken Burns did. He he talks a lot about how bison stimulated economies.
Wow.
But I mean, obviously, we just try to take everything. We try to do it way too fast,
Yeah.
and then it turns into something bad. But I mean, if we can replenish to some extent, I doubt we ever get back to 80 million. Not in our lifetime, probably. But if you can replenish the American bison herd, and then if you can also, I don't know how you get more people to raise and finish their animals on grass. I think you have to prove the concept. You have to prove to ranchers and farmers who have been willing to essentially give their life towards raising animals. You have to prove to them that it's in their financial incentive or interest to raise and finish on grass.
Yeah.
There has to be a financial incentive behind what people do, I think.
Yeah.
And then you can get more and more of these large ruminants on grass. You can heal soil, replenish topsoil. You can restore native grasses. One of the farms that I source from, they're called Hamilton Native Outpost. They keep ruminants on their land just for the like essentially restorative and regenerative value that they bring along with them. They're grass farmers. I think they operate on like 30,000 acres of land, and they raise grass and harvest seeds and then redistribute nationwide to restore native grasses. But they have beef and bison on their land because of the regenerative nature of those animals.
Wow.
So
Isn't that Gabe Brown's thing that he tries to tell farmers that if you go regenerative, it's actually more financially lucrative for you to do so?
Yeah, his book Dirt to Soil, he talks about it a bunch, but the profitability of actually going regenerative makes a ton of sense, and it was stress tested, in my opinion, during the Ukraine war when ammonium and fertilizer spiked like 4x, 4 or 5x.
That's wild.
And then these farmers were like, doing conventional methods, and like you see their costs go way up.
yeah,
These regenerative farmers don't really have to deal with that. They have closed loop systems. Like Will Harris doesn't have to deal with buying fertilizer. So there's some level. I think it's obviously a much more skill based, intensive process. You have to know a lot more, but the trade off there is a lot more, but you're not beholden to cost increases from something that's totally out of your control.
That's a good reference.
Yeah.
All that stuff that was going on. When did all that kick off? Like, I think spring of 22.
2022. Yeah, like
Kick off,
February,
like,
March.
I mean,
Just
yeah, it is like a
like
ball game. You sit back and watch,
Yeah.
You sit back taking the news, like listen to a little roundup every day.
Right.
It's, that's a good point, man. Talking about like nitrogen and ammonia and fertilizer and also commodity crop prices, grain.
Yeah. I mean, the more you can control, the better it is. Like, all these farmers are realizing that, and the ones who are ahead of the curve, like Will Harris and Joel Salatin, they have the processing facilities. They have integrated systems that are using multiple species, so they don't have to deal with just like other people's messing up their business models.
Yeah.
I think it's a tough move. Like, I don't know. I think Will Harris, when we talked to him, he was saying that, he did it in the 90s when his dad was not really in the business anymore.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things when we went to White Oak around Christmas to do a podcast with him. We visited the farm, and we were like, how did COVID affect you guys? He was like, it was literally business as usual. He has 2 slaughterhouses.
Yeah.
Nothing was affected besides the fact that they had a huge uptick in business because people couldn't get meat from the grocery store again. So they were trying to go to him. So they were shipping stuff all across the country, but his priority is really just serving the local Bluffton, Georgia community. That's all he really cares about. The D2C stuff is just an add-on.
Yeah.
It's almost like a pain in the ass. Like, it seems like he wants to do it just to help people get really nutrient-dense product, but he cares way more about just feeding his local food system.
Right.
But he was largely unaffected.
I think that's a great point, though, man. I do think there's probably an element of what Diamond Eye and Horseman Cattle Co., what they do, that is potentially centered around, I don't really want to have to rely on external inputs.
yeah.
Because if you do, if you got to go and buy all this corn and grain and fertilizer, and if ranchers and farmers raise their animals that way so be it. Like,
Yeah.
they should do that. You know, that's again, it's their prerogative. This is just how I prefer to source my animals. But the way that Diamond Eye and Horseman are doing it, I mean, they're hardly ever having to go to town and purchase inputs.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've bred such strong genetics in their herd that they're hardly ever having to go to town and buy antibiotics
Yeah.
or buy an annual vaccine or something of that nature.
Yeah.
They have bred such resilient animals in grass that it is it's a closed loop system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah. So Jake, what's the best way for people to connect with you if they want some beef in bulk, they want to provide themselves with some really nutrient dense product?
Just get a hold of me, man.
How?
Instagram reels, man. No, I'm kidding.
1-800 Jake Steaks.
yeah.
You got to get that.
No, I don't know how to get stuff like that. I don't even know how to change my email address, man. I really think the best way people can find me on Instagram, it's at Jake Steaks 01.
Yeah, I believe that's
think.
what it is. Let me confirm.
And then I'm on Twitter just a little bit. People can message me there.
Jake Steaks 01.
How many followers you got on Twitter these days?
Probably like 11 or 12, I think.
Gotta check that.
I'm not sure.
Fact check that.
I had a buddy, a guy I met through the Beef Initiative, actually.
For real?
He was running the Twitter account for me.
Really?
And then we got to like 13 or 14 followers, and he was like,
But
man,
you're over 1,000.
1,000? That's
Yeah.
good, dude.
1,056.
I haven't even mentioned the dry provisions on Twitter yet, so that's a good sign. Yeah. But
We got a lot of exciting stuff, man. We're so fortunate to have met you back in the Beef Initiative. I mean, you've sourced us so much great product. You've nourished us. A lot of our friends have been ordering from you, so we just appreciate that there's people like you out there that are fighting the good fight, and glad that we just finally got to sit down with you, and we appreciate it, man.
it's fun, dude. This is about the only way I fight, so might as well just fight the good fight.
Fight the good fight.
I think to double back, I think the website might actually be the best way.
Yeah.
Because I
And
think
your
if-
cell's on there, too.
I think if you go on the website and scroll to the bottom, you can get to the cell. But I agree with you, man. It's been a fun year and a half of getting to know you guys and connecting with other people, through you and introducing you guys to other people and stuff. So
Yeah.
I say we keep it going. Let's get a couple chest freezers full down here.
Let's keep
I love
rolling.
it.
Yeah.
Just keep giving people good product.
Yeah.
Make people healthier.
Beef for
Can
the
we
masses.
turn these microphones off so we can drink some more shine?
Yeah, we'll drink some more shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're out.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, fellas.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.